1 p.m. Eastern on, hopefully you don't have to leave Tampa and head to Orlando in the first half if Arkansas is down, 31-0 to go catch a competitive bowl game.
You mean
1 p.m. Eastern.
My wife, who is Iowa, born, bred, everything, like she's not happy this game's at the same time as the Razorbacks. So maybe we will be at halftime on the way down to Orlando.
Yeah, you might be heading to Orlando, Camping World Stadium for the Citrus Bowl, as number 15 Iowa will take on number 22 Kentucky. Kentucky is out to a 3-point favorite, over under 44. A couple notes here. Iowa star center Tyler Linderbaum, who's, I would argue, the best center in the country, projected to go first round. He's going to play here. Spencer Petras listed as the starting quarterback for the Hawkeyes. They had some back and forth there at the end of the year. The Iowa secondary cornerback Matt Hankins has been ruled out with an injury. That's a big loss. And backup Terry Roberts also wasn't listed on the depth chart. Kentucky will be without wide receivers Josh Ali and Isaiah Epps, who were involved in a car accident. I think Epps is also transferring. When I look at this game, I think it's Kentucky or nothing here. I have them in a round robin. If you look at Kentucky's offense, it was spectacular this year with their new coordinator Cohen and bringing in Levis. I mean, they're top 10 across the board in a lot of advanced metrics. Iowa, on the other hand, bottom 10 in almost every advanced metric on offense. This Kentucky team is very weak against pass success, like efficient passing. That's their weakness here. We talked about that a lot. And their run defense wasn't as good as usual. They had some injuries on the defensive line. McCall will be back here at least. But Iowa's not a team that has a lot of high pass success rate. Not a team that's going to take advantage of Kentucky's secondary. So I think that, and by the way, these are two teams that want to run the ball, and they're very slow. They're both outside the top 100 in adjusted pace. Kentucky's actually slower than Iowa. They're 119th in adjusted pace. When I look at this game, Iowa's defense is better than Kentucky's, but the gap isn't that big. Kentucky's still top 40 defense. The biggest gap in this game is Kentucky's offense versus Iowa's offense. The Iowa offense is just dreadful. And this Iowa team is just not as good as we're used to seeing in the trenches. Right outside of Linderbaum, their offensive line has been really poor, and their defensive line, which lost a lot and has had to use a lot of redshirt freshmen, not the same. Kentucky should own the line of scrimmage here with their excellent offensive line. They should be able to run the ball. Levis can hit some passes. Loss of Hankins is pretty big. Kentucky's just going to be able to score more. And that's what I think it comes down to. The one thing that concerns me is, as with every Iowa game, is turnovers. Iowa, third best turnover margin in the country at plus 13. Kentucky, third worst at minus 13. So you want to talk about a complete difference. That's what Iowa thrives on. Turnovers, short fields. Kentucky lost 22 and had only 9 takeaways. Iowa lost only 16 and had 29 takeaways. 20 more takeaways. So that is the one thing that concerns me here. But I think that the handicap, both teams I think will care here, both well coached. Can Kentucky avoid the turnovers? If they do, I think that it's a pretty simple handicap. Is Iowa can't take advantage of some of the issues in the Kentucky secondary, and the Kentucky offense is just so much better than the Iowa offense, and they should dominate the line of scrimmage here against a down Iowa defensive front and a secondary that's missing Hankins. What do you see here?
Well, one of the biggest offseason projects we had last year was that finishing drives equates against the spread wins. And this is one of those games where there is a clear leader in finishing drives, and that's Kentucky. Kentucky fourth on offense and finishing drives. That's scoring opportunities when your offense gets past the 40-yard line. Iowa defense 82nd in defensive finishing drives. They're allowing teams to score touchdowns, below national average. And then you go to the other side of the ball. Iowa's bottom 10 in the nation in offensive finishing drives. Even if they're able to get a sustainable drive or hit an explosive play, if they get within the 40-yard line, they're one of the worst teams in the nation getting points up on the board. Kentucky's defense, nothing special, but 48th in defensive finishing drives is good enough to stop Iowa from getting points up on the board. Both these teams, extremely slow outside the top 100 in pace. And you mentioned it. There's nothing on Iowa's offense whatsoever. There's no advanced metric where I can tell you how they're going to score a point. I really don't even know. actually how they're going to score a point. And I'm sure them being fourth in SP plus special teams is going to have something to do with them getting points up on the board. But from a covering perspective, when you have two teams that run at this pace, that are, and Kentucky's, one of the highest ranked teams in havoc allowed. They don't make mistakes. So I side with you on Kentucky but the bigger that point spread gets, the harder it's going to be to cover. I think the best bet in this game, because the game is being played 1 p.m. Eastern time, it's an early game in the day. The first half under is the player. I still don't know how Iowa's going to score. Kentucky generally a slow starter, but they will get points up on the board. One big book out there right now is offering under 23. It's 21.5 across the market. One book out there is hanging a 23 on the first half under. I think 45 was key. It's exactly where I project it. Has taken massive under money. It's down to 44. One of the sharpest books out in Las Vegas, as we record this, took it down to 43.5. So this 23 first half under is what I'm going to take. I don't see how these teams score points, especially Iowa. Kentucky will score their points, but they're not going to blow them out. And I think that there's a mutual admiration between these two coaches where I see knees and not, things being run up. No Sonny Cumby running around with a pump jack chain and things like that. So I'm going to take a first half under here. I lean with you on Kentucky. Probably end up making it a play because, like I said, finishing drives means everything when covering the spread.